What were the initial discussions of Dhurandhar?
I'm a big fan of Aditya. We'd been working together for very many years.
Biggest misconception of your job that people outside have?
That we only write a check.
Are you and Aditya, you both the people who are now like, okay, ho gaya.
Really enjoyed working with each other in challenging situations because we both realized that we are calmest. Even Durandar, we are not done with it yet.
Okay.
Hopefully, we'll have a surprise for the audiences later on in the year.
That's something big you're saying, that Dhurandhar fans can still wait for some more surprises. That is amazing. What does this industry need the most? Do we need more writers? Do we need more directors? Where do you think there's a shortage?
Writing is definitely something where we need more writers.
What was surprising for you when it came to generally the industry's reaction?
For me, the best reward was silence.
Jyoti, welcome to Bollywood Hungama, and thank you so much for doing this. We've been wanting to do this for a while. I'm so glad this worked out.
Thank you for having me.
Right. You have changed the game of entertainment across the country. Wherever we go, your film is still being discussed. I'm going to take you back and ask you, what were the initial discussions of Durandar with Aditya? What made you back this film?
As you know, this film sort of defeated every conventional norm,
Yes.
and on paper, it was a very, very, very long script, and we had several narrations
Okay.
of the script. It was not a
Acha, it was not.
pehle baar sun liya and green light kind of
Not like
a
that.
film. So we heard it several times, at least 2 or 3 times.
Okay.
But there was something so refreshing about the film. It was clutter breaking. It had a very big thought. It was patriotic in a very different way. I'm a huge fan of Quentin Tarantino, and I've watched all his films, and I love that genre. And the way Aditya was going to treat this film was something that had never been attempted before in India.
Okay.
So I'm a big fan of Aditya. We'd been working together for very many years, although we were not able to agree on what his next directorial should be. So we produced a few films together in the
Yes.
meanwhile, and then we all felt this is the one. And the rest, as they say, is history.
Yeah. You said you were figuring it's a big film, and you figured it out. It's something big. How? Like, was it on paper? Was it his narration? Did you see his conviction? What?
So Aditya doesn't narrate.
Okay.
Ojas
Acha,
narrates.
Ojas narrates,
Aditya writes, and then he can talk about a few scenes,
Okay.
but Ojas does the script narration. And but what we were attempting, which is to see a visual. I mean, we were discussing deep state. The fact that conceptually we've never tackled the subject of deep state
Right.
in India. So this was, but it's such an abstract concept to explain. How do you cinematically do it? So I found that very interesting. The fact that it's not about a spy who goes waltz in, everything is stacked up for him, and
Right.
it takes 20 years, it takes
Correct.
2 decades. So it was a journey. The whole film was set in Pakistan.
Yeah.
Almost every character was, was who they were.
Who they were.
It was gangster meets. The hero was going to be passive for half of the script,
Yes.
and someone else was going to take the lead. So I think what we were attempting is to make immersive storytelling,
Right.
not a beginning, middle, and end kind of a story, but
Okay.
really immerse people into a world, into the characters. So long form storytelling,
Right.
that is what we were going to attempt to begin with.
Right.
So I thought it was clutter breaking, and one must, the intent of all people concerned was very pure.
Right.
So we said, ये नहीं किया तो क्या किया?
Right, that's true. They went to do enormous numbers overseas, India, worldwide. these are numbers we have not seen, not heard of. Nobody knew the potential. Before the release, honestly, what did you think as a studio maximum ye kitna banayegi? What did you all have that in mind?
Yes, I mean, see, when you greenlight a film,
Yeah.
you do want at the corner of your eye, you want to keep the economics.
Yes.
I mean, I actually don't make films to looking at the downside. Ki, only now it should not be more than this downside. I'm always playing for the upside and not really looking to break even in a film. So we thought that it's clutter breaking enough. Animal as a film was an adult film that had shown that it can do a certain amount of business. So we said, even if this film does 400 to 500 crores box office, we'll be home.
Okay.
But so in our mind, it was that.
Wow.
That was the number, saying that yes, we'll make a fine film. We will give it our best, and it should at least do this kind of a business. We never imagined. I mean, I must thank God and divine intervention, without which such a result is not possible.
Right. There were so many first things. Like, I mean, this was a clutter breaker in so many ways. No major lead actress like an A-lister. People take sometimes just for that. A certificate, violence, 2 parts, length of the film. Y'all were okay with everything. Y'all had, didn't y'all ever feel, yaar, ye dal dete hain just to cover the risk?
Nahi. I think one thing we didn't compromise on was what we intended to make.
Right.
We never diverted from what we intended to make. So the same script, the way it was shot, ended up such that it was actually 2 parts.
2 parts, right.
So it was not like we again wrote extra or we tried to patch something.
Right.
The way in a script you have an action ensues.
Correct.
It's a line in a script. But now that's a 12-minute choreographed action sequence with music.
Correct.
So each of the characters, we allowed them to breathe. So I think we did not compromise on the original story that we set out to tell. We didn't compromise one bit. In fact, if we could add to it, if we could enhance it by spending more on music, by spending more on action, by spending more on post, we ended up doing that.
Correct, got it. With all your experience and, being the biggest studio head in India, did you ever think did you know the potential of your business, of one film?
No. I mean, you're always trying to push yourself to hit that, boundary, or hit that high. Nobody sets out to make a bad film.
Correct.
Nobody
That's
sets
true.
out, chalo aaj kharab film banate.
Nobody.
You are always trying to do your best.
Correct.
But you're very realistic about what certain films' potential can be and which can be an outlier.
Yeah.
I think the fact that 3 years in a row, I mean, Stree, now Dhurandhar 1, Dhurandhar 2, the top 3 films, 24, 25, 26 have been ours, shows that it's not an accident.
Right.
It's not a one-trick pony. We are trying to do things. मेरी एक छोटी सी पिक्चर में एक डायलॉग था, कच्चे लींबू. There's a film on OTT. There's a cricket film. उसमें एक डायलॉग है, कुछ ऐसा करने के लिए जो कभी नहीं किया, बिल्कुल वही करना पड़ता है जो कभी नहीं किया.
That's a great one too. Absolutely. Now that this film is released, and all the decision making that happened, what was the biggest challenge today that you see that y'all faced while releasing Dhurandhar, while making Dhurandhar?
See, the film overran, the budget overran after the very first schedule. We took a loose call then that if this is what so many pages have been shot, and if this is what we've got in terms of footage, which is beautiful, but this is the length of it, then looks like if we shoot the rest of the pages, it will be 2 films.
Right.
But I committed to those budget enhancements um, without knowing where we are going to end up.
Wow.
So that was a shot in the dark.
Yeah.
But the intent of see, a studio puts up all of the funds.
Yeah.
It's not like
Correct.
there is anyone. The talent can contribute their sweat. They can at best contribute their fees. If it comes to that.
Correct.
But the studio has to put up all the cash. So in that true sense, the risk resides squarely with us. So even as a run up to the film, a week before the release, there were a series of events which brought us to a crossroad. Are we going ahead, or do we need more time? Do we at that point in time, I again had to make a decision, and I went all in and staked it all and staked my career on it. And which is why I say God has been kind. My late father's blessings.
Nice.
Absolutely. Such a result you can't have without something divine.
Wow. But yeah, you took a risk. You said shot in the dark, and it paid off. And this is the payoff sometimes when you take that chance. This is the biggest studio. What do the owners of the studio think about this kind of success? What do
they are incredibly proud. Today from 2018, I set up the studio ground up. It's a baby. From zero, we set it up, and we've reached this far. It can't happen without the support of the family. They've given us wings to fly. They're extremely proud of the success that we've been able to achieve. I think testament of that is the fact that Jio Studios this time made to the RIL investor presentation, and an example of Durandar was given, and 3 or 4 pages was dedicated to our small business. I think that's our zeros are very less compared to the RIL balance sheet.
Correct.
Although we may be the largest in our industry,
right?
But I think that tells you what the owners think of us.
True, absolutely. But yeah, there's no way you can use the word small for this, right? Are you and Aditya now relaxed? Are you both the people who are now like, okay, ho gaya?
I think both of us really enjoyed working with each other in challenging situations, because we both realized that we are calmest when our back is against the wall. Everybody else can flake around us, but he is extremely calm, and so am I. And it motivates us when there's a crisis. Both of us are more motivated than ever, and we held hands together and we got through it. And shout out to Ranveer as well. He held it together, and so I think this is special because the adversity in which we did this film brought us closer than ever. And right now, Aditya is spending time with his son. He couldn't spend too much time, so he's, I think, with cows and things like that. He's in bliss right now. But I know his mind is ticking. Even Durandar, we are not done with it yet. Hopefully we'll have a surprise for the audiences later on in the year. Something up our sleeves. And I'm, of course, not a day of respite. Release Raja Shivaji on to the next, excited, motivated, charged, and with a lot of purpose.
Nice. That's something big you're saying, that, Dhurandhar fans can still wait for some more surprises. That is amazing. So Aditya, you said, is in bliss. You don't take a break?
I haven't been able to take a break.
You're not able to take a break. When Dhurandhar released, like now, like I said, I interview Taran others twice or thrice a year. I've never seen him, for many years I've been doing it, go all out praising one film. He takes your name, he takes Aditya's name, he takes everyone's name, and he says Jyoti is the biggest Dhurandhar. And what was surprising for you when it came to generally the industry's reaction? Did the reactions come firstly? Was everyone, because everyone's talking about it, we know, Is everyone openly talking about it, messaging you, praising you all?
I didn't get too many messages.
Okay.
Maybe I'm not on social media.
Yeah.
I'm generally behind the scenes.
Yeah.
And I think Aditya and Ranveer got a
Yes.
lot of calls, and a lot of people spoke with them. I think for me, the best reward was silence.
Yeah.
Silence speaks louder than words.
That's absolutely true. Then comes any film will have its critics and its audiences, its lovers and its haters. This film was also divided on social media. You're not on social media, you said, but you must be hearing. What did you make about the trolling and people who are not on the same page as Durandar, who just could pinpoint so many things that they didn't like?
You know what I found interesting? See, any film that moves people to a reaction is a good result.
Okay.
Because they've been able to love it or not love it, but they've not been able to ignore it.
Correct. Yeah.
So Dhurandhar became so much a part of popular culture.
Yeah.
For 4 months straight, it was in the news.
Yeah.
People couldn't stop talking about it. Political campaigns were being run around it. In an NFL game, it was being played. In a ski resort, it was being played. The Finland Prime Minister was, So I think it sort of crossed over. Cricket teams were using Durandar tracks. So you couldn't escape it. So then the polarization becomes completely irrelevant. Because literally we as a company were doing nothing. People were posting something, people were defending it. It was out of our hands, as in a manner of speaking. So we were not architecting any of it.
Correct.
So I wouldn't take credit for the marketing blitzkrieg or any such thing, because the film took a life of its own.
Absolutely.
And when something becomes part of popular culture, it is something that you cannot script, and it is something that money cannot buy.
Right. But what was your reaction? Did you when you were seeing news debates happening?
See, I have a strong voice, and I believe in the films that I make, and I believe in the tone that they take. So I'm a patriot. I believe that I understand the difference between marginalization of a community versus terrorism. And I believe we made a film that was our country against terrorism, and we were not trying to marginalize any other community. And I will stand by that statement.
Coming to just your main work, what is it like to head Jio Studios, which is the biggest studio here?
It's very humbling.
It's humbling.
It's humbling.
Right. And you all have made so many films, like over 150 films. How do you make sure that, that you all continue the quantity and also keep the quality?
I think the 150 films was something to jumpstart, It was post-COVID.
Yes.
I was also heading Viacom at the time.
Yes, correct.
It was the pre-Disney merger, and Viacom needed a entertainment boost on its own. So the quantity came at a time when we needed to give the OTT platform a big boost. Since then, it's a different world. The Disney merger has happened, and so now it's Jio Star and all of that. So Jio Studios right now is focused on theatrical tentpoles. So it's definitely quality over quantity, and the quantity will come from expanding your regional footprint. Make meaningful films in Marathi, then go to now we enter South. So it's still quality over quantity, and hopefully we'll get quantity of quality.
Right, yeah. Like everybody says that they want this, but again, how do you ensure that quality?
Rigor. In Durandar, there's a line, Nazar and Sabar. Along with that, you need rigor. You can't greenlight something just because an actor is available or kisi ka dates hai. The rigor that you need to spend in getting the story right, in in trying to create that perfect storm, across all departments. All departments need to fire to make that magic.
Right.
I can give you the example of Lapata Ladies,
Yeah.
where everyone fired, all departments fired,
true,
and there was a little piece of magic. Same with Durandar. Every department fired, and then there was a piece of magic.
Wow.
So when something is not is left behind, then you never achieve that result. So you have to attempt. There's no substitution for rigor.
Wow. If we just take last year or whatever, say a year or two, what is the toughest decision you've made?
Saying no to a lot of films. The power of no is not easy. Because you come into the pressure. Okay, this year I've done so much. Now what next? So the power of no is definitely, because it's tempted. You're tempted to say yes to substandard stories,
right?
And think that along the way somehow you'll repair it. So I think that discipline of saying no unless you have full conviction,
correct,
that has been tough. But my toughest decision in the last 6 months has been that 1 week before Durandhar's release, Durandhar 1's release, where I decided to go all in.
Wow, that was a, and everyone was.
It was the 1st of December.
Wow. You remember that,
yes.
Right? Having worked in so many places, Viacom, now Jio Studios, that was Viacom was Network 18, Eros, Jio Savan. What do you make out of the Indian consumer, Indian market also, but Indian consumer?
I think I have said this before also. I think the Indian consumer is one of the most intelligent consumers in the world.
Okay.
The data democratization, as Jio democratized data and the mobile phone reached every town and village, information is available to everyone at the same time.
Yeah.
I feel that our audiences are one of the most intelligent in the world. Okay. They are one of the most discerning customers in the world, and sometimes our stories don't credit them with the intelligence they deserve.
Right.
I believe that the customer and the audience knows it all, and they are one of the most intelligent audiences in the world, and we don't need to dumb it down for them.
Wow, that's so important. That's very well said. All around, if you see, especially in the entertainment business also, it's a man's world. Do you think have you ever felt it's been tough for you because you're a woman leader?
I think I should be grateful that I think without the support of some men in my life along the way, I couldn't have reached where I reached. But again, I'll borrow a line from Ajay Sanyal of Durandar.
Yes.
He says, they have to get it right only once, and we have to get it right every time. So as a woman, I do feel that I have to get it right every time.
Absolutely well placed, 100%. Why do you think the success ratio of movies outside is so low? एक धुरंधर आती है 10 साल में, पता नहीं 15-20 साल में एक बार, and even the other hits also, you take like week after week we have releases, they don't work.
I'm not able to relate to this statement because we have been able to get 3 out of 5 right, 4 out of 5 right, year after year. So I'm not able to relate to this statement.
I'm talking about the entertainment industry at large. Every week there are 2-3 releases. We watch them. Some are good, some are not.
Those films should not be made.
Yeah. So that's we have quantity. You think at the cinemas?
Yeah, I think the green lighting happens because you have an OTT deal or you have some, I think having, testing why a film should be made, what is the purpose of a film? Why should it be made?
Right.
Will the world, miss whether that film will be made or not made?
Right.
Unless you put that litmus test, half the films won't get made only.
Correct.
So I think as a cinema owner, you want any film because you need footfalls and you want popcorn to be sold, and so they need quantity of films rather than quality of films.
Okay.
But our part of the value chain, we need more success ratio.
Exactly.
So it's our responsibility to greenlight with a cinematic experience in mind.
Correct. Because if you see, say if we see last year also, there was at the start when Chhawa came, then Beech Mein Sayyara came, a few other films also came. Then Durandar came, of course. But these are just 5-7 films we're talking about.
I think a customer or an audience thinks, what is in this film that will allow me to go and enjoy it in the cinema, which is a lot of money. Or should I just wait for it to watch it at home when it comes out at home, if at all.
Correct.
So if you can't pass that litmus test, you're going to fail.
Right. Do you think the days of superstardom are over, at least in Hindi cinema? That, like say Shah Rukh Khan is the best example, that, there's a celebrity, uske ghar ke bahar bhi log khade rehte hain, bungalow ke saath bhi photo lete hain, they want to know which is his next film, they want to love his kids, that was superstardom. Do you think that will exist in today's world?
I would want to answer it as such that if a story is great and it doesn't have a star, it can still do great business like a Stree.
Okay.
If a story has a star, but if the story is not executed well, it can fail, as we have seen in the past. So people are not as benevolent just because it's a star. But if a star comes in a fantastic story, I think it has the best chance of smashing all records, because it's the perfect storm.
Sure.
You have the stardom. People want their stars to succeed.
Of course.
So that fandom with a great story can create magic.
Correct. Will the next generation see that fandom? Do you see any young stars, without even names, but do you see the potential that these younger stars have to become worshipped stars?
I think social media has made it difficult because it's a dual-edged sword. Earlier, the stars had a charisma. They were not out there. If you catch a glimpse of a star, it was a big deal. Now they're everywhere. So how do you create that desire and that scarcity?
What is according to you, what do you think is the biggest misconception of your job that people outside have? Is there one?
That we only write a check. That our job is to just fund a film. I think it goes far beyond that. We are collaborative creatively with the filmmaker. And, during the whole scripting stage, we are very deeply involved. Casting stage, pre-production stage, budgeting. We are very deeply involved to come to what is the vision of what we are making. Then we allow our talent to go ahead and do the principal photography. We are involved through that process. In post, we are involved. Marketing, distribution. So we from script to screen, I think we have a great role to play in the success of a film. So I think the misconception is that you just hear money is available anywhere. You can go anywhere to get some money. That's not what we do.
Yeah, that's so true. That's true. That's a big misconception. You're right. In today's world, word of mouth is so strong. It travels instantly. It's all about today you release, in 1 hour I'll know, wherever in the world I'll know how the reactions are. Does that make you more fearless? Does that make you more confident? How does that work on your mind?
I only know to be fearless. I don't know any other way.
Right. And that's shown. That's the results are shown. Right. What matters? Opening weekend matters to you, or say a long run with slow numbers? What is important?
Opening weekend is good to have because it gives a nice momentum and nice tailwinds. But if I had to pick one, I would pick a sustained run, like a Dhurandhar. Opened slow, Dhurandhar won, and then the second weekend was more than the first weekend. Dhurandhar 2, of course, opened with tailwinds and a thunderous response. If I had to pick one, I would pick a sustained run. But an opening weekend is good to give momentum.
Right. How has marketing and PR changed? Do you still, can we create buzz about something it's easily, or I mean, because of social media and everything, you've seen so many phases of marketing since you've started making movies.
I think the whole thing gets templatized, and I think that
Yeah.
one size fits all, one Excel sheet template
Right.
with which you go and
uh,
you have the same usual pattern of social media runs. I don't think that translates to bums on seats.
Correct. Yeah.
Frankly, I don't think the marketing buzz that you create translates to bums on seats. It may get a few initial people to sample it. The trailer is the most important asset. When an audience watches a trailer, they decide whether this film excites them, doesn't. The first look, the trailer, maybe a song. These are the things that help an audience decide that I'm going to invest my time and money in this story. And then anything else that you do is incremental for your own satisfaction. But like you said, on day one, the word of mouth, what are your friends saying? What is your circle saying? You rely more on that.
Wow. If I ask you, what are, say, a few non-negotiables when you are saying yes to a film?
I think the uniqueness of the premise of a film, how different and clutter-breaking is the premise of a film, the conviction and intent of the captain of the ship in terms of the filmmaker, and how much skin in the game do they have. I like to see most of my budget showing up on screen rather than on other below the line activities.
Right. There was a time where most of the budgets were taken by the lead star. I hear today, at least, the times are changing. How do you make sure that every penny that is spent from your studio is seen on the screen, and also along with that you have to maintain your relationships with the stars?
I think working with like-minded people. I think all talent, whether it's a director or it's a big actor, or any aspiring talent or established talent, they always want to do things which is punching above the weight, and wanting to smash records and leave their mark in the sands of time. So if everyone is working towards that common vision, then that like-mindedness makes the intent stronger. And if the film succeeds, there is more upside for everyone, like in the case of Durandhar. Unprecedented payouts, but from the success of the film. Upfront, while we put all the money to make the film and took all the risk, the talent put their sweat in it. So I think working with good people who are aligned to a common vision is important, rather than clinical casting.
Durandhar had a great run at the box office. This is the ideal situation, and then it dropped on Netflix. What is the ideal situation actually, what you would like? There should be this 8-week window, or what do you think is the best thing that should happen?
I think we've done a disservice to the cinema industry by educating consumers about this prescriptive 8-week window. I, for one, feel that each should go on its own merit. If a film is off the cinemas and it can go quicker than 8 weeks, and it can do that. But if a film needs to be off the cinemas for 3 months, then it should be that also. And I don't believe that in a cinema marketing, you should promote OTT partners. And I think educating, you have to call people to the cinemas. In that, to put your OTT partners, you're educating with your money that don't come to the cinemas, it's going to come on this OTT platform. I think all these systems need to be revamped. They were done during COVID with a very different genesis in mind. And now it's time we revamp some of these practices so that each window gets the best shot to succeed, and the sum of the parts totals to a larger whole,
Yeah.
as opposed to each cannibalizing from the other.
Correct. You're absolutely right. A small film and say a Dhurandhar can't have the same rule that 8 week or whatever. Absolutely agree with you. By the way, congratulations for Raja Shivaji. I personally watched it and enjoyed it also. Is the business on expected lines?
Yeah, I mean it's the highest grossing, highest opening for a Marathi film.
Yes.
It's on a weekday it's doing more than opening day of other Marathi films. It's
Right.
crossed 50 crores already. I think we had a large vision for the film. We of course released a Hindi version as well.
Yes.
The film is doing incredibly well in Maharashtra,
Okay.
as we expected it to do.
Right.
Outside of Maharashtra, can you call it pan India? No.
Okay.
It is still, and we were curious as to why this is the case.
Correct.
I don't think the history books in Delhi have Shivaji Maharaj.
Right.
They're still studying Humayun and Akbar and the streets. So I think the crossover, we have to still persist.
Correct.
With our stories. When we were greenlighting this film, and it was like, ye Hindi mein banana hai ki Marathi mein banana hai? Because it's an expensive Marathi film.
Yeah.
But we said, no, how will we break this language agnostic narrative? How will we push people
Correct.
to consume other languages? We have to keep persisting. So maybe Raja Shivaji chipped away at that by 10-20%.
Okay.
Next one will make a little bit more progress, and the next one will make a little bit more progress, until one day it becomes absolutely mainstream.
Right.
So no regrets, absolutely happy that with how it's doing and what we've been able to do with this film.
Right.
And I would do it all over again.
Nice. But because there is interest in these stories, Chhawa is an example, Tanaji is an example. So people across the country have gone and watched stories that are about, people from Maharashtra.
Sure. And they chose to make those films in Hindi. And got a much bigger result. They cast from the Hindi industry. So it was an experiment.
Yeah.
Today Ritesh is Salman Khan or Shah Rukh Khan of Marathi industry.
Yeah.
And we had a nice ensemble cast,
Yes.
to pack it up with great performances. It's punching way above. Let's see what business it ends up in Maharashtra itself.
Correct. Ritesh is a very talented guy and a very creative guy. He's also a genius in many things. He's had 100% record with his Marathi films that he's produced. But this scale he has not. You backed this. What made you back?
Ritesh and I have been talking about this film since 2018. That's when I set up Jio Studios.
Oh my God.
So he came and pitched this film to me in our other office in Maker Max City. And I said, "Bahut badhiya hai." I was with a different director. He just wanted to make Raja Shivaji. There was a different director attached to the film. And then every 2 years, we would come up with we would talk about Raja Shivaji. The film would have moved along more. The story would have changed a little bit. Until like 2 years ago, when he again came and pitched the film to me. And by then we were established. We had a slate, to our credit, been there, done that. And I was in a position to take this risk. And he said, it was very clear that through the years, he had the best vision for the film. He had lived with this film for 8 or 10 years. And he had the best. He was seeing it most clearly more than any other people he had brought along to pitch the film to me. So it was very clear that if anyone had to make it, he had to make it. And we packed it with great technicians, Santosh Sivan as the DOP, etc. So I think Ajay Atul for the music. And I think Der se aaye par durust aaye.
Bilkul. And personally, I was watching it, I feel he chose very good chapters of Shivaji Maharaj's life that he wants to show.
We wanted to focus on the emotional beat. What that family had to go through. The father and a brother had to live separately to the mother and Shivaji. Many people don't know these stories.
Some people don't know,
so we wanted to bring those elements through, even on the emotional beat, the complexity of the politics between the Nizam, the Mughals, Adil Shahi, and then the Marathas, the divide and conquer. So I think we made a good attempt.
It's a great attempt, I feel. Do you as a studio focus or think of, or do you want to contribute to making newer stars, newer filmmakers, give them a platform so that this industry and y'all also eventually have more to play with?
Without a doubt, we want to back new stars, new filmmakers, new voices. I think my formula always is, don't make everything new. If you have a new filmmaker, pair it up with established technicians and some stars of experience. If you have new stars, then give them experienced filmmakers. And if everything is new, then the execution risk becomes very high. But if you mix new talent with slightly established and experienced talent, you generally end up having the best output.
Right. What does this industry need the most? Do we need more writers? Do we need more directors? Where do you think there's a shortage?
I think in all departments.
All departments.
See, stories, if I hear 100 stories, I'm greenlighting one or two. So writing is definitely something where we need more writers.
Correct.
In filmmakers, in the olden days, it used to be, the rigor. Some of the biggest names that we see today would have AD'd for a decade under someone else. Now, one film, somebody is an AD. The next film they are directing.
That's true.
So I think it's a land of plenty of opportunities. But then the success rate will not come with laziness.
Correct.
Success rate will come with absolute rigor and standing for that the gold standard. Right.
What next for your studio? What should we expect? Because y'all are just getting us used to having entertainment back to back.
One of the films that I'm really excited about, the trailer you would have seen, teaser you would have seen with Raja Shivaji, is Khashaba.
Yes.
So Nagraj, who is National Award winner, amazing. He's one of the finest storytellers I know, and we've made a very beautiful film called Khashaba. It's in Marathi language. It's again a film that I want to open wide and hope that all of India comes and watches it, because it's the story about India's first ever Olympic medal winner in independent India. He won the first individual medal for us in wrestling, and he's a forgotten soul. Nobody knows him.
It's a real story.
It's a real story, and it's so poignant. It's so beautiful. So these are the stories of India that I want to celebrate and bring to all of India as well as the world. So I'm very excited about it. And of course we announced Khilnani, what we developed with Aditya next. And then some of my partner companies were there. So Madak and Sikya, they have some releases as well. So it's a nice, interesting slate. And I'm hearing stories every day.
Amazing. Hope you get a great break as well.